Divorce happens. In fact, it happens to almost 50% of first marriages. So let's talk about it. Welcome to Divorce Happens, a podcast to educate, inspire, support, and yes, make you laugh through divorce and beyond so that you can start fresh on the next phase of your journey. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh.
You get divorced. You get divorced.
Getting divorced?
I'm getting a divorce.
You're getting a divorce.
Because she's getting a divorce.
So what if I get divorced?
Hello. Welcome back to Divorce Happens, the podcast where we support you before, during, and after divorce with education, inspiration, a little bit of laughter, because as we know, divorce happens and then you start fresh. And we're here with our friend Pia. Pia, can you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. I'm a creative coach working with unconventional dreamers and visionary rebels to bring their visions and ventures to life through creative coaching, storytelling, and strategy.
I love that. I'm definitely a creative rebel. I love that. I'm sure you have a great time with your clients.
I sure do.
One of the reasons I'm really excited you're here is that you have been divorced and you're remarried. And so I'm curious if you'd love to take us through what are the 3 things that you learned from your divorce?
Sure. Well, I think there are a lot of big lessons, but if I had to boil it down, one is lesson 1, not to shapeshift for anyone else. So not to change shape in order to please, comfort, appease another.
Yeah.
I think it's a pattern that my divorce shined a light on. So it wasn't just it existed before I met my ex-husband.
Right.
But I was able to see when we weren't seeing eye to eye anymore and we just started drifting apart, that one of the main things that was going on is I was no longer willing to change shapes. I wanted to be loved and appreciated for who I was, not who I thought he wanted me to be. And that was on me, but that was a really big lesson, not to change shapes for another.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that's a very common rhetoric for people pleasers, right? It was the same. And it's not that yes, it's something that you need to like work on, in your life, but also like we tend to attract people that let that happen very easily, right?
True
And
that.
so I love that. Don't shapeshift. I think that's such a great like little mantra.
Yeah. And the other thing is sometimes we're going to change throughout our lives. Like that's the beauty of being human. We're fluid beings. We're going to grow into different versions of ourselves. So being with someone who's up for that crazy and wild ride where we get to fall in love with each other and each new version that we become again and again, that has like that openness, that also helped me see that that's where I wanted to be. That's the environment I wanted to be in. And the one that I was in wasn't offering that. Kind of got stuck on the version of myself that he met when he first met me.
Totally. I totally understand that. Yes. And I think that a lot of people who maybe get married young will get stuck in that version, right? And we deserve to grow and change throughout our life. That's what life is all about, right? So I love that. Okay. So what's the second thing that you learned from your divorce?
The second thing was to look within. So when my divorce happened, man, it just threw me through the windshield and I had to just stop and take stock. And one of the best gifts it gave me was my therapist.
Yeah.
I stumbled into my therapist's office and the healing work began. And it was really, I'm very grateful for my divorce because even though it was hard as nails, it brought me to where I needed to be for myself. I needed to look at, okay, how did I get here? How did this happen? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I needed to do that work within instead of kind of looking on the outside to see, oh, well, it's because that and this. And it was like, no, wait a minute. I'm in charge of this. What's going on?
But that's really, really scary, right? And a lot of people don't want to get there. I remember, when my marriage wasn't working and my sister kept saying, you got to go to therapy. And I said, I know as soon as I go to therapy, this marriage is going to be over because I'm going to confront myself. And that's the scariest person to confront, right?
Totally.
So, but I love that it brought you to your therapist. I think that that's such a beautiful story. And yes, we can be both, blindsided and thrown through the windshield with our divorce and also grateful for it at the same time.
Totally. Well, I wasn't at the time.
Yes, now
but
you are.
but now I am because I'm still with said therapist 10 years later, and it's been such a wild ride. And
Yeah.
I'm really, it brought me back to myself.
I love that. And to have a witness to your healing is really powerful.
Totally.
I love that.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's the third thing?
The third thing is falling in love with myself is the start of a real love affair.
Love that.
I mean, they're all kind of interconnected, but, really falling in love with me, not being all parts of me, the bruises, the beauty marks, all of it, and embracing different parts of me and getting curious about who I am, and just like you, romancing myself, taking
Yeah.
myself out on dates. When I had time, I was alone, and after the healing, it's like, okay, let's get romantic. What's happening? And that was such a beautiful lesson and realization. Like, that's the real love affair. And then after a long period of healing, I was able to show up as me,
Yeah.
and that's where I met my husband.
I love
was
that. I love that.
was
Yeah.
I wasn't willing to sort of compromise or hide, or it was just, hey, I'm have a grand love affair with myself. You either want to join or not,
Yep.
and it was a very different standpoint from where I was in my previous marriage.
Yeah.
And that was immensely liberating, and I'm in a really good place now. And sometimes it just takes, yeah,
Yeah.
going through the mud
Yeah,
to grow.
absolutely. Absolutely. But like you have to be at a place that you're like, I'm happy alone and I don't
Yes,
care and I'm just going to keep living my
totally.
life. And then that person can either make my life better or get the hell out because there's
Totally.
no reason for you to be here. So,
Absolutely. I
yeah.
I I need you. What is it my father used to tell me? I need you because I love you. I don't love you because I need you. There's a difference. So
Yeah.
you are very free, and you're gonna attract a whole different kind of person when you're coming from that place where it's like, I don't need you.
Yeah.
I need you because I love you, but I don't
Right.
need you.
Right.
Right? I don't love you because I need you. And I think that's a
Yeah.
really important distinction.
It is an important distinction, but I have a question for you to go further. We have a lot of women that listen to this. How can you cultivate that love affair with yourself? I mean, I know that's a big question, but what are some little things that people could take action with immediately?
Well, one thing is meeting yourself every day, and that can look really different to everyone. So for me, that's just free writing in the morning, like just getting a chance to meet myself. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's going on? Just no judgment, just free writing. That can look like dancing in your kitchen. That can look like taking.
I did a lot of, yeah.
Me too. That could look like what getting curious about what brings you joy. Getting curious about yourself. Just like if you'd meet a new person, wouldn't you want to know what their favorite ice cream is and what they love to do? And so really like treating yourself like you're taking yourself out on a date. You're romancing yourself. What kind of flowers would I like? Where would I like to go eat? What do I really love doing? So just activating curiosity and taking the time and the space to give that to yourself. The attention that you would give another easily, give it to yourself. Because often we don't always do that. We get really stingy with our time. We have to be productive. We have to be busy. There's no time for pleasure or fun or taking ourselves out on dates or romancing ourselves. So I would invite that energy into getting to get closer to you.
I really love that so much. And sometimes I think in our culture, we see a lot of, especially in the celebrity divorce culture, people will jump from relationship to relationship. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I want to just validate that it's also great to take some time and heal, right? And cultivate that relationship with yourself so you can meet the partner if you want to, right? That fills that space
Absolutely.
when you're
When
fulfilled.
When I got divorced, I did just that because I was afraid
Yeah.
to face my pain. So I latched on to sort of a unhealthy rebound just to not have to be alone. I was afraid. That's okay.
That's
It
okay.
took me the time that it took to then face my fear and say, I can, of course, be alone. This is not the first time I've been alone before, and I was just fine. But for some reason, it felt really scary to me.
Yeah.
So the thing is, when by jumping, I rob myself of the experience to get to know myself better, to heal in my own way, to understand, because you become enraptured with another. You don't have space or time for that. But it's cool. It's was part of my journey. It's what I needed.
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's what it takes. And then to say, no, I'm so ready to be alone.
Yeah.
Let's bring it,
I
and
think,
that's okay.
yeah, and like our culture is so dedicated to robbing women of their joy that
Preach.
we think so often, especially if you're a people pleaser, oldest daughter, perfect type A person, like, oh well, I don't deserve the joy. I don't need to take time for my joy, but I will happily give it to another partner or person, right? Or even people lean it heavily into their mothering and become like, all about their kids, which is also fine if that's what you want to do, but you are also a human being who deserves the joy and the rest and the romance. And I think we
True.
just forget to romance ourselves. So I love what you said
Mm.
so much. And there's some great books out there and tips. And I'm sure working with somebody like you, if you're a creative person, can also help cultivate that sense of creativity again, which is a huge part of the healing process, I would
Yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
And I would posit that if you're human, you are creative.
I love that. Yes. I always like to say there's no such thing as a bad singer, right? Everybody can sing. Everybody has a voice. Everybody
Absolutely.
can sing. Okay. So if somebody's listening to this and they're going through a divorce, what would be some words of encouragement that you could leave with them?
There's a line that I love that rejection is redirection. Sometimes it can feel really lonely and like there's something wrong with you because it's not working. I mean, you signed up for something that was supposed to be forever, and it
Yeah.
could be sort of soul shattering to realize that it's not. And
Yeah.
there's so many things that can go through one's mind. And for me, rejection was just life redirecting me.
Yeah.
This is not where you're supposed to be, honey.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got something else in mind for you,
Yeah.
Don't, but it can feel really personal, and which it is, but it could just feel so fucking heavy.
Yeah.
But know that this too shall pass. That might sound trite, but it's really true. Like it will be heavy and you'll be in the fog and the dense of it, but you will come out to the other side. It's like, when there are clouds in the sky, there's always a blue sky. It's always there. We just can't see it.
Ugh, I love that. I love that
So
so
that
much.
And know that there are people around you who love and support you and that are there for you, and lean on that. Lean on your joy, lean on your fun, and allow yourself to have all the feels. Because sometimes all you want to do is cry and eat Ben and Jerry's and watch a show and like whatever you might need.
Mm.
However you would treat your best friend going through the same thing, give that to yourself because it's tough as nails and
Yeah.
support gets us through it.
Oh, I love all of that. What amazing advice and little gems that you have dropped throughout this whole episode. So I appreciate you being here and thank you for your honesty and your vulnerability and for showing up. And we're just excited that people can be inspired and learn from this because divorce is a fresh start. Divorce is, like that new beginning and it's not the end of something. And I just appreciate all of the wisdom that you've imparted today.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Olivia. It's been an honor.
Divorce Happens is produced by Fresh Starts Registry, the only divorce registry platform for everything you need to begin again, including home items, hype team, and everything in between. Remember, divorce happens, and then we start fresh. We're here to support you before, during, and after divorce. Head to freshstartsregistry.com for more info.